Factoring an expression means rewriting that expression as a product. An example is 2x squared minus 2x minus 12 is 2 times x minus 3 times x plus 2. In this chapter, we illustrate 5 methods that can help us to factor an expression. Factoring out the greatest common factor, factoring 4-term polynomials by grouping, factoring trinomials of the form x squared plus bx plus c, factoring trinomials of the form ax squared plus bx plus c, and factoring a difference of two squares. The first step in factoring an expression is to factor out the greatest common factor of all terms. The reason we should always factor out the greatest common factor is that it makes the expressions involved less complicated and hence easier to deal with. To find the greatest common factor, we may need to find the factored form of each term, similar to the prime factored form of a number. Let's illustrate this with the examples on page 35. Factor out the greatest common factor of 2x squared minus 40x. Note that 12x squared is 2 squared times 3 times x squared, and 40x is 2 to the third times 5 times x. So what do these two terms have in common? The greatest common factor is 2 squared times x, which is 4x. Next, we factor out 4x from both terms, from 12x squared and negative 40x. We get 12x squared is 4x times 12x squared over 4x, which simplifies to 3x. 12x squared is 4x times 3x. Negative 40x is 4x times negative 40x over 4x, which simplifies to 4x times negative 10. Next, we factor out 4x out of both terms. So we have 12x squared minus 40x is 4x times 3x plus 4x times negative 10, and factoring out the 4x, we find 4x times 3x minus 10, which is our answer. Example 2. 9a to the 5th b squared minus 15a to the 4th b squared plus 30a cubed b cubed. Note that 9a to the 5th b squared is 3 squared times a to the 5th times b squared. 15a to the 4th b squared is 3 times 5 times a to the 4th times b squared. And 30a cubed b cubed is 2 times 3 times 5 times a cubed times b cubed. So the greatest common factor is 3 times a cubed times b squared. Next, we factor out the greatest common factor out of each term. Out of 9a to the 5th b squared, we get 3a cubed b squared times 3a squared. For negative 15a to the 4th b squared, we get 3a cubed b squared times negative 5a. For 30a cubed b cubed, we get 3a cubed b squared times 10b. Next, we factor out 3a cubed b squared out of every single term, and we are left with 3a squared minus 5a plus 10b, which is our final answer. Third example, 2x times x minus y plus 5 times x minus y. The greatest common factor here is x minus y. Both terms are already factored, so the only thing left to do is to factor out x minus y. And we get x minus y times 2x plus 5, which is immediately our final answer.